I'm not in it for myself. It doesn't gain me anything to be in it for myself. I would rather share my wealth and share my knowledge to make somebody else successful as well.
Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, a podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Let's get to the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. I'm John Madewell, and we're very, very pleased tonight to have Michael Kolody on the phone with us here, talking with us about all things trucking. Michael, very good welcome to you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
First off the top here, what are you doing this evening?
This evening, I'm actually home, getting ready to enjoy the Labor Day weekend with my family, and start getting ready to head out on Tuesday morning for my next load from Bon Ormy, heading up to Grand Forks, North Dakota, taking a brand new, fresh trainee with me as well.
From talking to some of the people here in the office, I know you spend a lot of time on the road, but let's talk about time off the road. Obviously, people will hear this after the fact, but Labor Day weekend, what are you going to do this weekend?
We actually live fairly close to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and my entire family are all beach bums, so we fully plan on heading to Nags Head, North Carolina, which is on the Outer Banks, and we're going to spend 3 days sitting with our toes in the sand.
Man, that could not be better. I myself, not to talk too much about myself, but I myself am a beach bum. I have a very close friend who he has moved to the Outer Banks. It captured him, pulled him in. So if you live there close to us, kind of take us there, because I've heard from my friend what attracts him to it, but we want to hear it from Mike himself. What pulls you into it?
It's the Southern lifestyle. For a lot of people hear about the Southern lifestyle, but they don't exactly get to experience the Southern lifestyle. We live a very laid-back life here in the South, especially in North Carolina. We don't have any major cities that are very close to us. Norfolk, Virginia Beach is the closest one to us. It's about an hour and 15 minutes away. Everything is around here is brought up on family values, church, religious, lifestyle. You work and you have your family time. So it's just a very laid back, very peaceful style of living.
Gotcha. Now, I understand the Outer Banks as far as beaches go. You and I both beach bums, but the Outer Banks has a very natural, pristine appeal to it. Not so much commercialized, but more of just what's there, the natural beauty.
It is, yes. And it's also a huge nature habitat from, Currituck and Corolla, where you have the wild horses that roam the beach, to the natural sea life. It's going to sound scary, but we're a great white shark breeding ground in the Outer Banks. We have huge crab and turtle populations here. Fresh seafood is very abundant in most of the restaurants around here. What makes the Outer Banks very attractive is it's not commercialized at all. It's all mom and pop restaurants. It's all mom and pop shops. You have a couple grocery store chains that are there. Very hard to find a Walmart. There's like only one or two Walmarts there up the whole Outer Banks strand.
That's not a bad thing.
It's not. It really keeps that small town feel to it.
Obviously, that's something that appeals to you about it. But for somebody who works on the road, drives on the road, makes their living on the road, how important is it to you to unplug, just pull away from it and get to the beach, get your, as you said, toes in the sand, and let the rest of your concerns of the day just wash away? How important is that to you?
It's very important, and it's not so much the beach is some place where my family gravitates and likes to spend our time, but it's more of getting off the road and unplugging and getting back to just spending it with family. I'm one that's just as happy sitting at home with my wife watching a movie as I am sitting with my wife on the beach.
Right. How often do you guys go to the beach, living so close to it?
Usually every day when we're home. when I'm home, my wife will go sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a week. It's literally only a 40-minute drive from our house to the beach. So for her to get out of work at 3 o'clock, she'll grab the kids out of school, and they'll actually just motor right down to the beach.
So you guys are true beach bums.
Yes, we are.
Gotcha. Now, let's talk a little bit about, I understand, talking to one of our dispatchers who knows you from talking with you on the phone all the time, Jesse Chavez. He says you're one of our trainers, and I understand that's true.
I am, yes.
How long have you been training for us?
With Norton, I think I'm on training number 5 I have coming in now for the guy that's starting on Tuesday.
Walk us through what pulled you into that and what a training session is like.
So a lot of it had to do with some gripes, kind of touch on a bad point. You hear a lot of negativity with other drivers that are out on the road about messes being left, damages being put onto trucks, guys getting stuck in areas they don't belong. So it was important to me to be able to pass what I know onto a fresh guy coming in. So not only one, that he hasn't put himself into a bad situation, but moreover, that they're successful, they get a good experience out of it, and it creates a long-term driver and asset for Norton.
Gotcha. What does that entail?
You mean like my training program? Is that what you're trying to get at, John?
No, what you were talking about there as far as making it a positive for a driver that you train, as far as so they don't run into those negative experiences, which we know, both you and I know, they can weigh down on a driver. But what does it entail to put them in the proper position to come out on the positive, not on the negative?
So it's essentially taking them and by the hand from day one and showing them your process, and then taking the time to explain to them why you arrive at this process. I sit down with my trainees at the hotel every night, and I show them how to pick loads, and I show them how to arrive in the correct cities so they have easy access to airport, how to save 15-20% every night when you're booking your hotel room. Just having that experience all together, it makes a positive experience, and it shows them, yes, you can make money doing this. You don't have to spend $150 a night in a hotel room. You can get your $75 hotel credit and actually come close to that amount and not go into the negative out of your pocket. It's just you need to lean on the experienced guys, on the veterans that are out there that want to teach the new generation, that want to pass their knowledge on and give them a positive experience.
Well, that's the platform that we're trying to reach here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Michael Kolody here with us tonight. You're obviously a veteran driver, a trainer in the decking world. We've talked a little bit about auxiliary things, not actually the training of, the saddles, the horse, that kind of thing. But I wanted to touch down, kind of drill down a little bit more on what you're talking about. You got to have a way out, airport, hotel, that kind of thing. You were talking to me previously. There's a Facebook group out there that may be very helpful for a lot of people. Tell us about that.
So myself, as well as another veteran driver with Norton, his name is Lloyd Ditford. We have a Facebook group. We actually have 2 Facebook groups called Deckhands and Drive Away Professionals. We continuously post content into these groups. So I'm known as the hotel guy. And with that, I keep a database in the group on Google Maps of all hotels that specifically deck drivers can fit and get themselves out of every morning without getting themselves into trouble. The only way that a hotel makes it onto this list is a driver has to send me a message through Facebook or post it in the group of the address of the hotel, where it's at, and then they have to give me notes. They have to, in those notes, it has to say good for 3-ways, good for 4-ways, good for Z-bars, lots of parking, food close by, offers a CDL discount. All of that information goes into the notes on this file through Google Maps. So when you subscribe to that Google Maps list, and that it's a public link that's posted on our page, it will pop up on your Google Maps as a little green icon. And you can click on that icon and you can say, it will tell you right then and there, must arrive early, good for a 3-way Z-bar. So you know that you have to enter in on Johnson Street, make a left into the parking lot, swing wide, park in the rear of the hotel. So you're not going in there blind and potentially getting yourself into an accident.
How many drivers out there are aware of this Facebook page you guys have in the 2 groups, Deckhands and Drive Away Professionals?
So we currently have 190 members in our Deckhands and Drive Away group, which is our private group. And we have an additional 91 in the public group as well.
Gotcha. Well, let's see what we can do to pump that number up, because what you're talking about is actually nuggets of gold here for deck drivers. I mean, what you're talking about, can you get a 3-way, a 4-way, a Z-bar in there? And it has to be, from what I understand, it has to be vetted, for lack of a better word, by drivers.
That is correct. If I get any kind of entry to this hotel list and it does not come with notes that it was vetted by a driver, it will not be added to the list.
What's the interaction like? I mean, with you and other drivers in this group with the hotels, as far as with the people when you check in, the management of these hotels? Is that a friendly thing? Is it an amicable thing? I mean, what's it like out there in the real world?
Oh, the hotel owners are actually happy to have us, and they actually want more of us to come to these hotels. Whenever I check into a hotel, one of the first questions I have is, do you offer a CDL discount? If they do, that information goes right onto that list as well. So we know that we have a negotiated rate at that hotel. I also add in national hotel discount codes into this group as well. Choice Hotels, you have a discount code with them. It's 00228840. If you use that discount code and call their reservation center, you get 15% off any hotel in their portfolio. And that's Sleep Inn, Comfort Inn, Quality Inn, any one of the Choice Hotel brands, it's 15%. A lot of drivers I've interacted before in the past will say 15% is not that much money. Well, if you're saving $20 a night and you spend 200 hotel nights out on the road per year, that's $4,000 back in your pocket.
That
may
adds
not
up.
seem a lot of money up front. It adds up, and it adds up real fast.
Give us that code one more time if you got it right there.
Sure. Choice Hotels is 0022-8840. That's hotels for truckers.
Hotels for truckers. You were talking about at the outset of this about being the hotel guy. That makes a big difference because it is a fact of life, particularly when you're a deck driver and you're dropping to, 3 or 4. You're going to have to get a hotel and you're going to spend some money. But you were talking about that $75, $80, $85 margin where you're trying to, park yourself for the night and get a good night's sleep. How do you select a hotel? How do you make that decision? Whatever city you're in, it's like, obviously there's some things you're looking for, some features, which we've already talked about, but maybe some amenities. You don't expect a lot of amenities for $75, $85, but what do you look for as a driver?
So when I select hotels, of course, the list isn't 100% complete. There are areas of the country that we don't have a presence in yet, and that's what I lean on interaction with people in this group to try and add to that list. But when I look for hotels, I'm looking for value based on the rate. We all know that we have $75 a night for 500 miles on the trip, right? So you want to try and make that stretch as far as possible. I am not a $60 a night hotel guy, and that's just my personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like staying in a Roach Coach motel. I will go to $90 because in the end, it's all a tax write-off at the end of the year. But if I can use my discounts and get that down to 85, 82, 80 tonight, well, I'm not putting that much more money out of my pocket, but I'm getting a better quality hotel.
Sure.
As far as amenities, I look for laundry services, especially if I'm doing a 34-hour reset, so I can do my laundry. And the biggest amenity is I'm looking for food that's close by, so I don't have to rely on Uber Eats, DoorDash, or any of the other vacuums that are out there that try and get us for delivery charge.
Sure. And even in that Choice Hotels umbrella, you're going to have a lot of hotels there that are going to have, breakfast included.
Yes.
Gotcha. Now, one thing you just brought up there that I want to kind of expound on, the tax write-off. We have here at Norton Transport, these are 1099 independent contractors, but you talked about something that people that may be listening to this, thinking about getting into drive-away trucking, kind of take them down that path of the tax write-offs that are available to you as an independent contractor.
So what I'll do is I'll actually add a little bit of a caveat onto the question you just asked me. I actually have a degree in accounting. I graduated from Misericordia University with a degree in accounting in 2002. So I was a little bit more knowledgeable about the tax write-offs that are in this industry when I got into it. All right. So essentially almost everything that you touch and everything that you have out on the road is going to be a tax write-off as a 1099 contractor. From your boots to your clothes to your laundry, your food charges are going to be on a per diem that you're going to claim. To claim that properly and to have your tax documentation for that, your logs are all you need. And you can go into the Keep Trucking app, or what's it called, Motive now, and download your logs per month and put them in a file on your computer. And that's all you need to show your accountant as proof that you're out on the road.
Right.
And claim that per diem. And at the end of the year, that is a huge write-off. Your hotels are not part of that per diem. That is a separate line on your taxes.
Gotcha.
But any tools that you buy they can be depreciated. Your accountant is not taking depreciation on your tool. He is missing something. So as a 1099 contractor, there you should be saving every receipt that you have out there: luggage, airfare, anything. Because that is a tax write-off.
You can write all of that off. And talk about, we know that on the Six Figure Trucker here, we talk to drivers who are successful, come out in the positive, do well, six-figure men and women that make their money on the road there. But talk about the write-off aspect of it in real dollars and cents there. What are you talking about on a particular tax year as far as a benefit for Mike Kolody?
Oh, wow. If I knew you were going to ask that question, I would have busted my taxes out from last year.
Give us an approximation.
I believe last year alone, I wrote off about $30,000 of my income and my taxes.
That is a substantial number.
Last year, I wasn't on the road full time either.
Right. That's a substantial number, though. I mean, 30,000 on a partial year on the road. And I just want to let you, I mean, somebody who has a background in accounting, obviously you're very versed in some of the tricks of the trade on the road, to communicate that to people who may listen to this and be thinking about drive away as an independent contractor. You know, some people may have some reservations about going at it alone as an independent contractor, but what you just laid out there for the tax write-offs, what would you say are some of the advantages of approaching drive away as an IC, an independent contractor?
It's the increased deductions that you could take over and above being a W-2 company driver. Being a W-2 company driver, you can't take per diem. You can't claim your hotels. You can't claim your meals. You can't claim any of that. So your tax write-offs are drastically depleted over what you would get as a 1099 contractor. Now, one of the things that you need to be disciplined with as a 1099 contractor is putting money aside for taxes. I religiously put away 30% of my settlement into a bank account all year. I have a Fidelity investments account that what I normally do is I put 30% of my weekly salary into the Fidelity investments account, and I let that build throughout the year, and then I will pay my taxes off in full at tax time. Or if you want to be stingy and you can be disciplined, you could ask the IRS for a payment plan and never touch that money and just pay it off monthly throughout the year.
Gotcha. That was leading me to my next question. If you were a monthly guy, quarterly guy, or annual guy?
So I am a quarterly guy. That's what my accountant likes to harp on, so I don't get behind. So I am a quarterly guy.
Gotcha. I want to shift gears here a little bit, no pun intended, but shifting gears here. You and I had talked a little bit off the air. You had mentioned there that you didn't drive full time last year. I'll leave this up to you, Mike, how much you want to talk about it, but last year was not.
No, that's fine. I'm good talking about it.
Last year was not the strongest year for you, or not the best year last year.
No. Last year, in October of last year, I was diagnosed with stage 2 prostate cancer. You want to talk about a wake-up call? At 46 years old, being diagnosed with stage 2 prostate cancer, it was an eye-opener to say the least. The doctor had told me it was very aggressive. So they took me in and performed what was called a radical prostatectomy on me. So I had to have my prostate removed and then heal up past that. One of the things I will tell you, though, and tell the listening public who's listening to this podcast, get yourself checked. You are not invincible. Take care of your body. Money is great, but take the time to go to the doctor and get yourself checked. I am living, breathing proof that I had something growing inside of my body that could have killed me and I didn't even know about it.
That's pretty heavy, but the other side of it is you're in remission now. Is that correct?
No, they actually cut it out.
Okay.
Everything is gone.
Well, that's fantastic to know that is something that is gone, removed from you. And like you said, I mean, that's something that could hit anyone and no one's invincible. I mean, what would you relay to drivers out there who are, trying to live the best years of their life on the road and take care of their families?
It goes back to what I had just stated in the last question. Take care of yourself. You may think you're invincible. You're not invincible. Make a doctor's appointment, take some home time, go get checked. Even if it's just a physical, you may have high blood pressure. You don't even know about it. And that could be leading into something else. Don't be afraid of the doctor. I can't stress enough and about it because it happened to me. It truly happened to me. I felt I was not sick. I was not showing any symptoms, and it just showed up on a scan. And the doctor said, "You have cancer." And yeah, I didn't have words. I was in a spot. I had to go to counseling. Because I fought a bit of depression over it, that it was really happening to me, and it's just one of those life-changing moments, one of those wake-up calls to say, I am getting older, we're not invincible. So my advice would be is don't let your pride hurt you. Take care of yourself while you're out on the road. If you're tired, if you're not feeling well, don't be afraid to go to the doctor and take care of yourself.
Gotcha. This is Mike Kolody, a veteran driver here for us at Norton Transport, joining us on the Six Figure Trucker. Mike, from what I've gathered here from talking to you here, we've been talking for about 25 minutes here. You're a family guy. Family is very important to you. You were struck with that wake-up call, as you put it there, with the prostate cancer, and you also spend a lot of time with your family at home, out on the Outer Banks. How does that interact, kind of weave together with your working, winning the money there as a driver? How do you balance the two?
So I've never been a winning the money kind of guy. I live to be comfortable. When I make a certain amount of money per month, I'm done. And I'm not afraid to go home for 2 weeks to spend time with my wife. That's the beauty of doing this as a 1099 contractor, is you get to dictate your own home time. If you don't want to go out, just don't go out. If you want to spend a month at home, you spend a month at home. So you have that freedom to just say no. Everyone's financial situation is different. I don't fault guys for going out for 2, 3, 4, 6 months at a time. If that's what they need for their financial situation, that's what they need. But as far as myself, I go until I know I have my monthly house bill paid and money in our pockets, and then I'm home to spend time with my wife and my kid. So for me, I'm normally a 2 to 3 loads, and then I'm on a plane to go home. And then I'll go home for 3, 4, 5 days, and I'm coming back out for 2 or 3 loads, and I'm going back home for 3, 4, 5 days.
How refreshing are those 3, 4, 5 days for you at home?
Very refreshing. Very.
What kind of things do you do when you're refreshing at home?
We go to the beach. We also have a boat as well here in town. We have tied up because we live right on the Albemarle Sound. So we take the boat out and we don't feel like driving to the beach. But, everything in our lives is revolved around the ocean and the water.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, you have 3 children. Is that right?
I actually have 6 children. I have 3 sons of my own with my ex-wife and 3 stepchildren with my current wife.
6 children. How do you manage that?
All 6 don't live with us at once. We have 1 in college, and then we have 2 14-year-olds, a 12-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
That's kind of stair step and then an extension of the steps there.
Yes. When all the kids are here, it is a very busy place.
I would imagine so. Let's kind of circle back to the training. We've talked about the stuff outside of the physical training, the mechanical part of it, but kind of tell us what it's like to train new guys on the decking side, as far as, if we look at the whole enchilada here, as far as from the horse all the way to the back, where does it start? Where does it end?
So I am a huge process guy, so I teach a system. I don't overwhelm my trainees when I have them. I teach on day 1, you're all you're going to worry about is stripping off the electrical, and then we're going to go to axles and airlines. All right. I don't want you to worry about saddles yet. We'll get to that down the road. I want to teach you baby steps, one process to one process to one process. We're not going to jump around to doing axles, to doing this, doing that all in one truck and get you all confused. We're going to concentrate on one process until you have it down. Then we're going to go to another process until you have it down. Then we're going to go to another process until you have it down.
Gotcha. Now, what to you is the biggest hurdle for deck drivers to overcome to become a successful driver?
So the biggest hurdles for a deck driver, a new deck driver?
Sure.
So for a new deck driver, it's going to be that aspect of running your own business while you're out on the road. You are taking, vehicles that are longer than a normal dry van and tractor that are out on the road, that have different pivot points as you're turning into your hotels or turning down street, and just getting used to the way the trucks handle. From running to your own business on the road to knowing how to pick a load that's going to be profitable for you, that's not going to have a $100 Uber charge or be stuck out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, to get back to an airport. Just because it shows $4,000 on the load for it doesn't mean it's a good load. And making guys understand that so they are successful when they go out there and don't lose all their money and just transportation costs to get back.
What do you look at? What you just said was a great point. $4,000 on a load. What kind of components do you look at to determine if it's a good load or not?
My biggest is going to be the number of stops and where it's going to finish. Where it's going to finish is the biggest factor of what I choose for a load. It's always going to be how close am I to a major city with a major airport. And then before I sign up for the load, I'm actually going on to Delta and I'm checking out how much do flights look like getting out of there, because not all airports are cheap. They're not. You could go to Minneapolis, St. Paul and catch a flight back to San Antonio for $200, but you could go to Des Moines, Iowa, and that same flight to get to San Antonio is going to be almost $600.
Right.
So doing the homework before you select the load is huge.
We had a previous guest and he talked about it so much. We titled the episode "Do Your Homework." But as a deck driver, he was a singles driver, but as a deck driver, is that somewhat more pronounced than a singles driver, is about the importance of doing your homework?
Yes. That is the name of the game. I actually did a video that is on the Deck Drivers Facebook group about pre-planning, about selecting your flight. When I select my flight, John, I will tell you, I always buy the Main Plus refundable fares. Yes, my flight cost me an extra $50, but I'll book my flight 3, 4, 5 days in advance. I just booked my flight to come to San Antonio tonight and for Tuesday. I'm already looking to book my flight out of Grand Forks when I deliver my load for next Friday already. But I'm buying the Main Plus refundable because if something happens, I'm not losing that money. And I can use that e-credit towards my next load.
It's almost like,
but I'm always trying to take advantage of the cheapest flight.
It's almost like insurance if you look at it that way.
Correct. Yes.
Now, were you a singles driver before you moved into the deck world? I'm assuming you were.
No, I was not. No, I was an experienced driver coming in.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about how long you've been driving, the experience, how you came in as a deck driver.
So I came from auto truck, believe it or not. So I was an auto truck driver for a couple months before I came over to the contractor side. I got my license when I was 21 years old. So I've been out here for, 25 years now. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but I have been everything from a driver to a supervisor, company owner, regional manager. I went into the management side and then got back out and I'm back in the truck. It's very hard to get the diesel fuel out of your veins once it gets in. And I'm truly happy being behind the wheel.
That's the diesel residue there. Tell us a little bit about a company owner.
So when I came out of college, I was already a full-time CDL driver. And when I put myself through college for my degree, when I came out of college, I applied for an SBA loan, bought my first truck. And at the time I was living in Pennsylvania, we had a huge boom in the natural gas industry. I bought my first truck in October of 2013. By February of 2014, I had 8 trucks going. The growth was explosive in the first 6 months. Let me tell you something. You want to hear about another wake-up call, John? Laying in bed in the morning, you open up your eyes and you can look at the ceiling and say, I'm $1 million in debt right now.
Oh, my goodness. That's a shot in the gut right there. That's a shot in the gut.
That is a shot in the gut because that's what I had with all my truck loans at the time. But we were doing phenomenal. I had 20 guys working for me until the fateful day when the gas price dropped. And I will tell you, if you're ever thinking about becoming an owner-operator in this field, don't do it in a specialized, because if the specialized falls off, your truck can't work. And that is exactly what happened to me. The natural gas prices dropped. They had no work for my truck. I had all my trucks sitting for idle. I had to lay all my guys off. And then we made it because we had enough liquid cash to get through it when the work fired back up, but the damage was already done. I was lucky enough that I found a group of investors that bought me out. So I managed to get out with my shirt on. But it was an experience that taught me you could ride the roller coaster all the way to the top, but be prepared because the roller coaster is going to come all the way down too. So it really taught me about learning and managing my expenses.
What's it like to ride that roller coaster? I mean, for a guy from your standpoint, coming from your background, to have to absorb those highs and lows. What was that like?
It was a true great experience. And I say that because, again, it taught me about the highs and the lows, of the industry. I got so excited with my success when I started my company called Two Sons Trucking. It was an incredible high to be able to have this explosive growth, to have my trucks working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 2 shifts. It was incredible to see the amount of money that was coming in. But when everything shut down, it was scary because, like I said, I had all these truck payments. Each truck was $1,800 a month truck payment that I had to float that cash all the way through the truck shut down. So it was scary, and I learned how to clamp down, and I learned how to not spend anything. So it was just a real great experience to learn the highs and the lows and ride that roller coaster down. And shortly after that, I went into management, and as cavalier as I'm talking to you, that's how I got my first job in management, because I was able to learn how to manage expenses, that income isn't the only thing you have to worry about.
We've talked about the financial discipline of locking down when you had to. What about from a mental standpoint? How has that helped you grow as far as a driver being an independent contractor after having gone through that?
So it helped me grow by being able to manage the money that's coming in, to be mindful of how I pick my load, to try and spot what's profitable and what is not. Does that make sense, John? Again, taking a load to Wisconsin just because it says it's worth $3,500, but if you have a $200 Uber ride to get back into Green Bay to get a flight out, plus your $400, well, you just took your $3,400 and put it to $3,200. Well, I could have taken the $3,000 load that had done a day earlier and then flown back a bit on my next load already. It's managing the income to expenses and setting the expectation for yourself to be successful.
Gotcha. Now, we're talking about the Labor Day holiday. We know you're going to the beach, sticking your toes in the sand, but then it's back on the road. Tell us what your load plan looks like for, I guess you'll start back on Tuesday?
Yep. So the load plan is got my trainee meeting me at the yard at about 10:30 in the morning. We're going to go over a pre-trip, how to do paperwork. And then the first day, I'm not going to push this guy too hard. I'm not. We're going to drive to Norman, Oklahoma. I've got a great hotel that's on our list to sleep in at the Riverwinds Casino. Hashtag good side fun.
Sure.
But
don't put your money all on one number there.
No, absolutely not. But that's a hotel that I put on the list. They've got a 24-hour security guard gated parking lot with a shuttle to the hotel. Food's close by, and I get that for $90 a night, and then I get 15% off of it using that choice discount code, that 00228840. So I get a world-class hotel right next to a casino with great food, and I usually get it for about $80 after tax.
That's a win-win regardless of what happens in the casino.
Yep. And then after that, we're going to head up to Sioux Falls. We got a Best Western hotel on our list, so they're going to stay in Sioux Falls. And then Thursday morning, we're going to wake up. We're going to drive the last 300 miles in the Grand Forks. We'll get on deck. We'll get a good night's rest on Thursday, on a plane for Friday, and hopefully, if we can make it back on time, we'll pick up Friday afternoon. If not, it'll be Saturday morning.
So are you one-on-one with your trainee? Is there any other students involved or just one?
So, okay. I have been asked by Norton to take multiples, and I kind of resist it. I like to take one guy out at a time until he's done. I do feel that something is lost when you have multiples. You don't get that kind of one-on-one attention. You have one guy trying to teach two guys everything he knows, and you really lose that connection. So I will take out one at a time. I really don't like to take out two.
I mean, yeah, from what I understand there, it's for you, it's the quality of teacher student.
Correct.
Now, I did want to ask you here, kind of back up just a little bit, the casino. Are you have you been to a casino before? Is that something you do? Are you good at it? Do you enjoy it?
I don't think anyone's truly good at it. The house is always in favor to win, but I do like to go to the casino. It is a hobby of mine. We don't have any here where I'm from in North Carolina, so I do like to go when I have the opportunity to. I am a craps guy, blackjack guy, and most importantly, I like to go to the poker room, play poker.
What's your poker game? Is it Texas Hold'em? What do you play?
Oh, yeah, Texas Hold'em. I play Omaha too, but it's very hard to find an Omaha game out there.
Yeah, that's less common there. But do you play 7 or 5 cards on Texas Hold'em? How do you play it?
It's 7. It's 2 in the hole and 5 on the board.
Gotcha. Now, how long? You're 46 years old. You've been through a life-altering event with the prostate cancer. Fortunately, all that is gone behind you in the rearview mirror. What do you see in front of you?
So I see a pretty long career with Norton. I really do enjoy this company a lot. The people are great in the office. You know, Michael Perry is great in the office as well. He's a great outlet if you have any kind of issues that are out there. You know, I really don't see myself moving to any other kind of driveway company. My kids are all at school. You know, my wife is pretty self-sufficient when she's home alone. But the big thing is I don't stay off the road that long. I make sure my face is seen in the house a lot, so she has that support. You know, so I see myself staying here quite a while.
That's fantastic. We're happy to have Mike Kolody here on the air with us here on the Six Figure Trucker. We're glad to have you in the fold here. Wanted to ask you a couple of questions about life on the road as far as some of the strangest, most bizarre things you have seen as a driver that you thought you'd never see anywhere else. But behind the wheel of that big truck, what are some of the strangest things you've seen?
Oh, God. Strangest things I've seen. I mean, I have seen drag queen out on the road.
Tell us more about that. Where was that?
It was just a very scarring moment. I was on a back road heading towards Wisconsin, I think it was, and it wasn't too long ago. It was up in the UP of Michigan.
Okay,
and I'm driving down Route 2, and this guy just jumped out of the woods in a dress.
Oh,
and he's trying to, and bumming a ride. I mean, he had a full-on wig on, but this was very hairy in a dress. And it was just, I was like, no, sorry, dude, keep walking.
You just never know what you're going to see.
Nope, you don't, but I mean, I've seen, guys get into fist fights on the fuel island, shouting matches, I mean, accidents. I've seen a lot out. I do want to touch on one thing, if I can go off topic on there.
Sure.
Going back to the whole training and the lifestyle. I want to say, enjoy the lifestyle when you're out doing this drive away thing. I'm a huge proponent of taking time when you're out on the road, or making time if you're a little bit early. I'm going to touch base. I was just in Denver, Colorado, and I actually dropped a day early. The dealership took the bus the day early, right?
Right.
Got there, and I couldn't change my flight because the flight would have been $1,000 more to change my flight. So I was staying an extra day. I went out and I rented a car, and I actually got to see the Rocky Mountain National Park, and I put pictures on that. Yeah. And I put pictures on there, but it was one of those moments where I was sitting there on a rock staring at these 14,000 foot peaks, and I was just like, wow, when am I ever going to be able to see something like this? Seeing, Indian statues that are out in the middle of South Dakota, in the middle of nowhere. Take time. If you see something cool, stop and take a look at it. Enjoy it. This is your job, but your job is to see the entire country. Take time out and enjoy it. Send pictures home. Make a collage, you think, wow, this is why I do what I do.
It's a job that gives you the opportunity to be presented on the front row seat. I mean, of so much that the country has to offer. Now, that kind of leads me to my next question. You were talking about South Dakota, Denver. What are some of the most majestic places you've seen in your time on the road?
So the Rocky Mountain National Park definitely takes the cake. That was my number one on my list so far. The Pacific Northwest, driving through volcano country in eastern Washington, I'm a huge nature buff. I would say probably running a close number one or a close number two, number one is British Columbia. And I know everyone's thoughts on getting vaccinated and going into Canada. I do. I go into Canada every opportunity that I get. There is nothing on this planet more beautiful than British Columbia. And if you ever get a chance to go take a ride up there, go take a ride up there. It is worth every second.
What would your season be recommended to go for people?
No, spring, summer, fall. In the wintertime, it's brutal.
Gotcha. I had talked to your dispatcher back in the past, Jesse Chavez, and he said that you went to Canada a lot. How did that fall into your plate?
In 25 years on the road, I've seen the lower 48. I've seen everything in the lower 48, every state. There's not one I haven't missed yet, right? But I haven't seen all of Canada. So every opportunity that I get to go to Canada, I will take it just because it's a new place to go. So far, I've seen British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario and Quebec. But yeah, I'm still missing Nova Scotia. I'm still missing Newfoundland. I've been up to the Northwest Territories, the Yellowknife, almost near to Alaska. But I mean, I want to see as much as I could possibly see before my trucking career is over.
What's your favorite part of Canada?
British Columbia, hands down.
What sets it apart? Is it the deep forest there? What sets it apart for you?
It's the deep forest and the mountains. You know, it's majestic. You know, to try and give it a description, kind of breathtaking, awe-inspiring to see nature in its purest form. You know, there's portions of British Columbia and northern Alberta, you know, the Northwest Territories, where you're able to look off in the distance and you can say, man hasn't even walked out there yet.
Right.
Because there's just nothing.
Just
You know, it's a beauty that's unexplained.
just completely undisturbed.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Wanted to ask you another question more about the appreciation or possibly the lack thereof for drivers out on the road. You've been in it for a long time. How do you look at it from your position sitting behind the wheel and your value in the whole system, the system being the economy?
So the mistreatment of drivers as a whole throughout the industry is problematic, to say the least. You know, I have been mistreated. You know, dealerships, shippers, receivers, not being allowed to use the restroom. I mean, it's a travesty that's out there. However, they need us. You know, and I view us as drivers as the bigger party, because if they combined and they shut the country down or went on the trucker strike or everything that you see here on Facebook to organize and stop the mistreatment of truckers, you know, that all that's going to do is bring more negativity to us. You know, so I'm one of those, smile and continue on with my day. It doesn't benefit me to make a scene.
Why do you think the mistreatment's there? What do you think?
I really couldn't tell you. I mean, in 25 years, I haven't been able to understand why. I mean, I know cleanliness is a huge one. We kind of are our own enemy out there, you know, and I'm sure other drivers that are listening in on this can understand when you pull into a rest area and you see bottles or jugs of urine sitting on the ground, you know, piles of feces, sitting on the ground. I mean, it is disgusting. We need to change our own outlook, our own, what's the word I'm looking for, impression, if we want to earn that respect out there.
Well, let's kind of shift on that. And you guys are obviously the important cog in the wheel that moves our society. I mean, when you look at trucking, shipping, or rail, it's those are the three. And, there's a lot of mileage covered across this country by you guys. Is that a sense of a pride for you? How do you look at that as far as this wouldn't happen if I hadn't delivered these 4 trucks today to go on to the next delivery for those 4 trucks? I mean, how do you view that as far as being such an integral part of what happens in this country?
I mean, regardless of the mistreatment that's out there, I take pride in the work product that I present to my customers. You know, when you arrive at a dealership, that truck is already ordered. There's very, very few trucks that are being delivered nowadays that are stock. You know, so I take pride in my appearance when I show up at a dealership, knowing that customer is going to get a clean truck. You know, if a truck is dirty, I have no problems calling in dispatch saying, "Hey, should I get this washed?" 9 times out of 10, people is going to tell you yes. So it's in the pride of how you present yourself and the product you present. And there was actually a posting on LinkedIn I saw tonight from Freightliner of Toledo showing all new Freightliners that were being put in there. And in the background, somebody was offloading, and that salesman actually said, "Thank you to this driver who's bringing us more units for our customers." And to see that was refreshing.
How rewarding is that to get the thank you, the pat on the back from someone? Although,
it's very rewarding, John. I could tell you, because it doesn't come too often.
Right. It means more because it doesn't come too often.
Correct.
Now, talk a little bit about the professionalism and the impression. This primarily, we want to say this for someone who's considering going into drive-away trucking as an independent contractor. How important is that component for the driver to embrace?
Well, first impressions last a lifetime. All right. So if you show up looking like a scumbag and talking like a scumbag, you're going to be treated like a scumbag. I will always try to show up for my assignments when I'm undecking at a dealership. I don't wear trashy clothes. I wear a pair of coveralls that I keep in my bag, and I make sure I'm clean when I go in and present to the dealership, and I'm always respectful to them, whether they have an attitude or not. I still try and be respectful. Eat a plate of crow if you have to, and you're not going to get that pushback. 9 times out of 10, they're going to sign your paperwork if they have a nice day.
Right. You've obviously put some thought into that as far as, if you wear coveralls and then, shed out of them and have, obviously some clean, fresh clothes when you go into the dealership. Does that make an impression on them? Or are they like, this guy has taken an extra step?
Yeah. I mean, I've actually had dealerships tell me, thank you, for not coming into my dealership all greasy, or thank you for cleaning up and making sure not telling us that we had to come out and inspect it. We saw you cleaning it up. When you take that extra step, I mean, I had my last trainee. We went to Morgan Body in Wisconsin, and we had to clean up somebody else's mess. But you know what? They came out. They actually wrote an email to Norton, to thank us for it, and got a couple nice T-shirts out of it. But to get that recognition and the impression that's left, was a positive one.
Sure, that's got to give you an extra kind of pump in your system there for the next load that you take.
Correct.
Now, we talked a lot about life on the road, life off the road, toes in the sand. What would your advice be to people considering this as a profession? Maybe if it's somebody who's come from the industry with an O&O, some other type of trucking, but for people that are kind of testing the waters and drive away, what would your advice be to them?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. No one's going to bite your head off. Anyone in our group, or for that fact, any driver that I've spoken to in Von Ormy, being a new guy or not, don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, I give my phone number out to guys who just, randomly instant message me on Facebook. Can I ask you a couple questions about the industry? The answer is yes, because I want to see guys succeed when they come in. So, don't hide in the shell, don't hide in the corner, don't be afraid to ask questions, because what we do is, it's not easy. The easy part is the driving. The hard part's the undecking. And if you do something wrong, you could get killed. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I would rather have a guy ask me 1,000 questions and get it right than take it upon himself and get it wrong. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're trying to get yourself into it, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, what's this like? What's picking a load like? What kind of money are you bringing home after a load? How do you control your expenses? Get yourself educated before making the jump so you don't get let down.
Gotcha. Mike Kolody joining us here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. You can check it out on social media, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcasts. They're all out there for you to listen to this, also on Stitcher. And Mike, I wanted to give you a chance to plug again some of the things we talked about at the very top of our conversation here. Deckhands Drive Away Professionals on Facebook. Anything that you want to say? I mean, I open it up totally to you for people to get in touch with you, because you've got some invaluable information for everyone out there.
Absolutely. So our Facebook group is Drive Away Professional. I'm actually going to send you a link, John, that you can actually attach to the podcast if you'd like. So they can go get right to the Facebook group. We keep all kinds of databases in there for hotels that specifically deck drivers are able to get in and out of without getting themselves into trouble. We have YouTube videos that are put in. Lloyd makes YouTube videos every single week of how to put an axle in, what to do if your differential lock drops, putting it in, how to get yourself out of jams. So we're really huge on educating the public that are in our group, and we welcome anyone to come in if they have a better way and show us their way so we can share that with other people and other people can learn. I share hotel discounts. Again, I'll give one of them out right now. It's Choice Hotel. If you call their reservation center and give them code 0022-8840, you'll get 15% off whatever the rack rate is every single night. It doesn't matter what Choice Hotel brand that you use. That can save you $15-20 a night. 200 nights a year, you put $4,000 back into your pocket. Every little bit helps. And we're constantly looking for other ways to save money out the road. I have a Wyndham code too that is posted in there, and I'll give you another 20% off your Wyndham stay. And it's all about helping the other driver. That's what our community is all about, helping the other driver be successful.
How important is it to you to be a part and a spearhead in that brotherhood?
It's huge. It really is. And Lloyd was the one that approached me about joining this group and becoming an admin and sharing my knowledge with it. And I was all for it. It's something that I think is needed out there. If we don't share the information, then all we're doing is we're in it for ourselves. I'm not in it for myself. It doesn't gain me anything to be in it for myself. I would rather share my wealth and share my knowledge to make somebody else successful as well. There's plenty of food for us to eat out there. You don't have to worry about someone else stealing your thunder.
Mike Kolody joining us here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Mike, I got to tell you, you've left us with some incredible nuggets for all the drivers out there, the potential drivers, people thinking about making this a career. Mike Kolody, he's given you ways you can get in touch with him on his Facebook, the Facebook groups he has. Reach out to Mike Kolody. He can help you out, particularly if you want to go down the deck driving channel. If you have already put some experience in on the single side and are ready to move to deck driving, Mike Kolody is a guy that you can talk to. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else you'd like to say to close us out here this evening?
Nope, John. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email with some links, and in the email is giving my phone number as well. If any of the people that are listening to this episode have questions, shoot me a text. I will answer you, and I will get you the information. If you want to call me, call me. But join our Facebook group, get educated, watch the videos. If you have questions, no one is going to chastise you in our group. We will actually give you the right information, and we'll point you in the right direction. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. It is a great career. It's a profitable career, and we have a lot of fun out there. So it's all about living the life and enjoying the life. So reach out, ask questions, and we're there to help you.
Thank you so much, Mike. Mike Kolody joining us here on the Six Figure Trucker, one of our greatest guests we've had to date. We appreciate it, Mike. Thank you so much. Be safe out there and enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Get your toes deep into the sand, and whatever else comes about that really tickles your fancy, do it.
Exactly. John, thank you so much for having me.
All right, have a good evening.
You too.
Six Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.